Hello and welcome back to another video, today here again on Forza Horizon 5, to take a closer look at all of the new Event Lab props added as part of the Series 21 update, as well as trying to build my first route with them up here at the top of the volcano. So yesterday I did take a sort of more overall look at the update as a whole, taking a look at the two new Cupras, the new customization options for pickup trucks, of course the new photo mode that you see here, complete with characters and time of day options, and also took a first glimpse at some of the new props. But today we're going to take a closer look at them and, like I say, try and build something cool up here at the top of the volcano. So the reason we're up here is to use the Montagna Trail start line because, well, conveniently we're at the top of here, so we can sort of build outwards from the volcano, which is very relevant with the new props that are all basically the bits that made up the oval inside the stadium in the previous series. So, the new props, most of them are in their new racing tab, where you'll find all of the bits of oval. So there's a few options here which I will place out and show you in more detail in a second. But also over here, right at the end in decoration, there are some new like photo studio props basically, so some lighting so that you can make some cool photo studios. So here are all of the props. This is the main long straight one, which is probably going to be the most useful, because previously to get a nice flat straight like this, you'd have had to snap together lots of car park props or manually line up a load of tarmac pieces. So having something of this length that's just nice and flat and level and straight is going to be super useful. So I can see this being used in all sorts of things. Then we of course have a banked straight, the sort of very start of a corner. Then we have the sort of continuation of the corner. If you notice, this one is still ramped slightly upwards. So I think the idea would be you'd have this attached to here, like that, to sort of begin a corner. Then you have the same the other way, so you have sort of the mirror image of this sort of banking back down again, and then this one that goes all the way down to straight. So if you imagine that continuing down. The only thing I think that's missing here really is it would be good to have a banked corner that isn't a ramp, that's just the full bank basically, so that you can have a bit more flexibility. And the only other problem I foresee with these, which we did again briefly cover yesterday, is that the curbing's on this side. So if, for example, I wanted a corner going the other way, you can see the problem, basically. So if you want to make an oval, it's all well and good with all the corners going the same way, but as soon as you put a corner going the other way, you then have this problem where the lanes don't line up, which is irritating, but you still have a nice smooth surface, so if you're just trying to make something that's useful to race on, then it still kind of works. But yeah, this is just kind of irritating. Anyway, those are all of your oval props for making and racetrack. But then there are also these photography-based ones, like I said. So you've got the three different types of light and this sort of backdrop thing if you want to make a photo studio. Which a lot of people have made in Event Lab, and they've done a very good job of it without these props, so it's kind of a bit late. But yeah, it's cool to have those there as options to add if anyone is still making some kind of photo booth style Event Labs. But there we go, that's all of the props. There aren't loads of them, but I'm going to try and make the best use I can out of these, but we might need some other platforms and car park pieces to make this work. So you can very quickly build an oval. This isn't going to be my final build, I'll try and do something else in a minute, but obviously with so much more space up here than in the stadium, you can make the oval actually a reasonable size with some nice long straights and banked corners. The one thing I realised I didn't use just then is the banked straights, which you could kind of put in the middle of a corner. I don't know why that's still up there, but never mind. I should probably also be in a faster car than this to fully test this. I'm not sure going flat around here is going to work, so let's be nice and steady because we're kind of in the sky. So yeah, the problem I've got here is the corners are still just as tight as they were in the stadium. So I might fill those out with some banked straights. And then you've got a basic oval, which I suppose then you could make like an infield track with as well. I did also check in the car park snappable props snap to these. So if there was a bit where the stripes didn't line up, maybe you switch to car park for a bit in the middle of the straight. And then have a corner that goes the other way. So I'll go back and make this oval have slightly less sharp corners. As my first build, then I think I'll try and make something a bit more complicated, but that's so much faster. That took me about all of 5 minutes to make this oval. So I've now extended it. It's kind of not really an oval so much anymore as a, well, rectangle with some banked corners. But basically I put 3 of the banked straights sort of in the middle of each corner at the ends. So now we have a properly high-speed oval. I'm still not sure full speed's going to work because we're going to go off the edge. And unfortunately, what would have been kind of helpful is if you imagine the oval that was in the stadium where it had the fences, if we could snap those along like the top edges of here, that would make it so much easier to build something, because that was close. Yeah, I'm going to have to manually place walls along there, basically, and they're not going to line up. I suppose they would be on this bit of curbing, so you'd kind of not clip into them, because the problem with walls in Forza is they're never quite flat, so if you sort of brush them, your car gets caught on them, particularly if they've been built in a vent lab. So that's the only way we're going to be able to do it if we make a more complex track. But for now, I think that's a cool, basic, not really an oval. So then, this is the shared blueprint of the rectangoval, set to 10 laps with all of the AIs on, which is quite amusing because they fall off a lot. But yeah, go and have a play around with this if you want to. It's a very basic build that you could probably build yourself, but there we go. That's the first one that I've made with these. Now let's try something a bit more ambitious. So this is what the finished route looks like. There's a few bits I'm unhappy with, but overall it's kind of cool, I think. There is a bit of a problem with the start-finish line checkpoint as well. If you round the final corner a bit too quickly and run too wide, it will say you've missed a checkpoint, which is a bit of a shame. As with a lot of my routes, it has a pit lane, which I'll show you when we get back round. But as for the route itself, it starts with the chicane, although I've tried to make this sort of wider and more open than previously, so that there's not possibilities of crashing. I've also kind of put trees outside of here to kind of make it feel more like a enclosed thing rather than hovering above the map like you actually are. Yeah, most of it went okay. The most difficult bit was the walling on these banked corners, which I did think would be a problem. So that's really badly made. So don't go near that or you will die if you're driving at speed, because clipping on walls in Forza is horrendous. There's minimal checkpoints. There is another chicane here, but again, wider and gentler than usual, which is kind of a shame because it means that's just one flowing corner in the end. But yeah, these banked corners are really, really inflexible to work with, because basically you have to do an entire banked corner or not. Otherwise you end up with a sort of half-banked exit to the corner, and you then have to somehow get back to being level. So you kind of have to do a full corner or not at all. The pit lane, I think, came out alright. I've managed to make it slightly narrower by using a half width here. And yeah, 6 double garages as usual, because it's Forza, and, well, 12 cars is the maximum you'll see. So yeah, there's a few things I'm not happy with. Overall, I like the kind of effect of it and the feel of it. But yeah, I'm not sure these banked corners are going to be terribly useful. I think, really, the sort of straight bits, these bits, I think will be useful for track creating, but the banked corner bits are just too flexible. You really have to have the set of 4 pieces together for it to work. Otherwise, like I say, you end up with a sort of half-banked end to something. So it doesn't work great, and the fact you can't snap walls to the edge of them makes it quite difficult. These ones, for example, I had to build some concrete along the side so that I could snap them along it and make it a nice sort of straight wall. So yeah, the fact you can't snap walls to the pieces is a bit of a shame. Really, you need a lot more pieces, like the number of pieces we have in Hot Wheels, for it to be a usable system. And, well, it doesn't divide by a number of car park pieces, if you see what I mean. So, if you put car park pieces with this, you end up with a gap somewhere, because you can't put a certain number of car park pieces to one straight, if you see what I mean. It doesn't quite fit. So, yeah, few flaws with it. It is quite difficult to use, and I'm not 100% happy with this route. As ever, I have also shared a nighttime version. I did put a couple of these pink lighting towers around to give it a nice kind of nighttime vibe. I did kind of hope the lighting on these walls was going to be enough, but particularly in the garages, I don't think it has quite worked. I may potentially be able to go in and edit, but I don't know if that's fixed, because for whatever reason, when I built anything with snappable car park pieces, I couldn't then go in and edit. It just wouldn't load for me. This, by the way, I did all in one sitting. I didn't save and reload it, so I don't actually know if that's working or not for me at the moment. But yeah, if you prefer a sort of nighttime vibe race, this one is shared as well. Exactly the same route as the other one, but different time of day. So yeah, like I said on the other one, it's not perfect. The bits are a bit fiddly to work with. You have to use a whole banked corner, so it's a bit irritating. There's no walls that you can snap to the banked corners, so the walling on those is always going to be a bit deadly. But yeah, I'm kind of pleased with how this has turned out. I like the kind of vibe and look of it, at least, even if it isn't going to be great for racing. The only kind of useful thing is the corners are so wide that you probably could stay away from the walls enough for it not to be an issue. But anyway, these are the two versions that are shared, and, well, I did actually have an idea when I was doing this, because I was saying that the straight bits were the kind of only useful bits, so I'm thinking maybe I should make a no hesi style map with just bits of straight and many vehicles, because we not only have trucks now, but we also have the rally expansion vehicles. So I think if we did it two ways, so if I put two bits of straight next to each other, I think maybe I should work on something like that. Might spend a bit more time detailing if I do that though, so potentially I'll do a video making that at some point. But for a very first build, I think it's decent enough. I'm not sure how raceable it is, but yeah, there's plenty more I want to do with some of these props. Like I say, mainly the straights will be useful, I think. And that is going to do it for a more in-depth look at all of the new Raceway props added as part of the Series 21 update here on Forza Horizon 5, as well as making a couple of routes with them, the more basic oval-style ones, as well as this more complex one, which probably took me all in all about 3 hours to build, which is kind of a lot quicker than it would have taken previously without the help of these pieces. As I said when I was doing the sort of test drives around it, the banked corner bits are a bit irritating and difficult to use, especially as you can't snap walls to them, and you kind of have to use the set of all four for it to work properly, but the straight pieces I can see being useful building any kind of raceways in the future, which I will come back and build something with them very soon, either a no hesi style thing or another racetrack, kind of like this, but just making use of the straights. For today's video, though, taking a very first kind of more in-depth look at the props, that is going to be all, so hopefully you did enjoy having a first look at those and building some tracks. But that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.